Hello, YouTube fans. This is Randy from the Wanderlodge Owners Group. And today on the forum, somebody posted a YouTube of a bad motorhome wreck where it ran into a semi and just peeled the whole top off the motorhome. I mean, from the floor up, killed a couple of people. And it got me thinking about way back at the rally in the valley, they would always talk about, the Wanderlodge employees would always talk about that all of the Wander Lodges ever built were still on the road. At that time, that was the early 90s, that they were all still on the road. And one of their things was that nobody had ever been killed in a Wander Lodge. And they told that for a long, long time. And it was true. I'm very sure of that, or they wouldn't have said it. So Wander Lodges are pretty safe, and they're all steel, as you know, and all that. They also would say that Wander Lodges were roll tested down a mountain. So I'm not sure if it was just the Wander Lodge or the Bluebird school buses that were rolled, or if they actually rolled a Wander Lodge itself. The body structure, the engineering is basically all the same. But there was one guy that worked at the factory that told me they rolled a Wander Lodge complete with interior down a mountain, sideways, like that, to make sure it didn't just fall apart inside. And if you've ever worked on a Wander Lodge, it won't fall apart because there's a million screws in it. But the rolling it down the mountain was an interesting thing. And one time, Carol and I were at the factory doing something, and they took us out and showed us a new wide body coach body that they were building. And they were putting some bigger windows in it than they had normally used. And engineering said it was going to be structurally sound and all that. But what they did, just to prove it to themselves, they put a 3,000-pound coil of steel on the roof. The windows were not in the coach. It was basically an empty shell with the body on it, the skin on it and all that. But they measured the window openings vertically in the salon area, and they put a 3,000-pound coil of steel on a pallet on the roof, remeasured the openings, and then left it over the weekend and remeasured them on Monday when they came back to work. There was no deflection, so they decided that was the engineering was correct, that the bigger windows weren't going to cause a problem. So that was all pretty interesting to see, be part of that. And that was in the early 90s. And in the 93, Bluebird built the BMC motorhome, a 37-footer. They built maybe one or two in 93. So in early 94, a BMC 37 had a Astro van, I believe it was, a Chevy van, hit a curb and got airborne and stuck itself through the window of a living room window on a BMC. It killed somebody in the van, but the people in the BMC were absolutely fine. They pulled the van out of the side wall of the BMC, drove the BMC to the factory, and they rebuilt it. They fixed it like new. It was a new coach. So it's pretty amazing stuff. And then later on, there was an SP36 in a rolling rally. And I wasn't on that rally, but it ran off the road and fell over on its side, and they recovered it. They had it picked back up with a wrecker. It broke the right rear view mirror on the outside and I think cracked a window. The people that owned the coach continued on with the rally in the same coach, and that was really cool. I had pictures of that, and I'm sure other people do too. And I sold that coach 10 years later or more for those people. Really interesting that it fell over completely on its side. They rightened it and continued on with their rally. So that was all very interesting stuff. And let me see what else I got here. Well, they said that nobody had ever been killed in a Wander Lodge, but in the mid-90s, a Wander Lodge was involved in an accident. And I don't remember if it was the driver or the co-pilot, but they didn't have their seatbelt on, and they got ejected through the windshield and somebody did die then. And then several years later, when the 450s had first come out, and I'm going to say '05 or so, a man was killed in a 450 accident, driver, and he ran through 100 pine trees about 6 inches or so, mowed them all down, and that coach was actually fixed after that. So they're really stout, and you know, I think so. That's 2 people that I know of that were killed in Wanderlodge accidents in all these years. But what's ironic is I think there's been 2 people killed under Wanderlodges too, when the coach fell on them because of jack failure, or the air came out of the bags, or something really stupid like that. But so you know, they're pretty darn safe. Still tough as nails. There's been a lot more of them off the road now than there was in the 90s. I mean, in the 90s, you know, the coaches were only 20 to 30 years old, and now in 2020s, those same coaches are 50, 60 years old. So there is a bunch of, unfortunately, dead coaches sitting around. But all in all, you can always fix almost anything on a Wanderlodge, and they're worth the time and effort. Hey, join the forum, Wanderlodge Owners Group forum. It's a great place to be. Come see us at a rally, and hit that subscribe button. Leave some comments. Tell me what you think. Thanks for watching.